What if Rhaenyra Targaryen didn't run? What if instead of fleeing Dragonstone, she turned Syrax around, looked at King's Landing one final time and said, "Burn it all"? Because here's what nobody tells you about Rhaenyra. She was never that far from the edge. And today, on the Unwritten Chronicles, we're pushing her over it. In the actual show, Rhaenyra breaks. She loses Lucerys. She loses Dracarys. She loses Daemon. Her dragons fall one by one. Her own son betrays her, and she dies. Swallowed by grief, eaten alive by her own blood's dragon. That's the canon. That's what actually happened. But what if the grief didn't break her? What if it made her? Because there's a darker version of this story, where Rhaenyra doesn't become a victim of the Dance of Dragons. She becomes the dance. And it all starts with one single moment. One choice that changes absolutely everything. After Lucerys dies at Storm's End, in canon, Rhaenyra falls apart. She grieves. She retreats. She bleeds through a stillbirth. She becomes smaller. But here's the question that should haunt every House of the Dragon fan. What if she didn't retreat? What if that grief hardened into something colder, something sharper, something that looked exactly like a queen, but wasn't? Imagine Rhaenyra standing in the throne room of Dragonstone. Word just arrived. Lucerys is gone, and she doesn't cry, she doesn't scream, she just says, very quietly, "Dracarys, all of them." This is the divergence point. This is where the Unwritten Chronicles takes a dark left turn. Because once Rhaenyra crosses this line, once she decides that grief justifies fire, she can never come back. And the first victim isn't even an enemy. It's a lord who merely hesitated to send ships. Just hesitated. And she burns his fleet in the harbor, not as a military move, as a message. That's the first crack. That's how it always begins. Now the losses keep piling up. Because war doesn't pause for madness. Dracarys, her firstborn, her heir, rides into the Battle of the Gullet. He doesn't come back. And here's the brutal irony. In this version, he doesn't die because of the Greens. He dies because Rhaenyra's cruelty pushed neutral lords away. Men who would have fought for her didn't, because they were terrified of her. And now, she's completely alone. This is the loop that destroys every Mad King archetype, and Rhaenyra falls right into it. She sees betrayal everywhere. Her small council becomes a court of yes-men. Anyone who questions her, gone. Anyone who brings bad news, imprisoned. The small folk who once called her the realm's delight are now whispering something else. Maegor with teats. Sound familiar? Because it should. This is exactly how Aerys II became the Mad King. Not overnight, not in one single moment. Through the slow, grinding weight of loss, paranoia, and unchecked power. Rhaenyra isn't mad yet, she's just grieving. And that's what makes it so terrifying. But then, Daemon dies, and that's the moment the last thread snaps. Here's where it gets truly dark. With Daemon gone, there is no one left who can tell her no. No one who can hold a mirror to her face. No one she loves enough to stop for. She mounts Syrax. She flies to King's Landing, not to negotiate, not to demand surrender, to end it. They took my sons, she tells the ashes of her council. Now I take their city. And just like Daenerys on the bells, because yes, this is exactly that echo, she doesn't stop when the gates open. She doesn't stop when the white flags go up. The Targaryen madness, that beautiful, terrible inheritance, has finally claimed her completely. King's Landing burns. The Red Keep, half melted. The streets, ash and silence. Thousands gone. Greens, yes, but also small folk, also children, also people who never picked a side. The Dance of Dragons ends, and so does Rhaenyra. And here's the part nobody talks about. Her surviving son, Aegon III, watches it happen from a tower. He sees his mother become the monster, sees Syrax circle the burning city in wide, slow circles, and he never forgets it. Not for a single day of his life. This is why Aegon III is called the Dragonbane. This is why he lets the last dragons die. Not because he hates them, because he watched one destroy everything he loved. Rhaenyra didn't just burn King's Landing. She burned the Targaryen legacy. She burned the future. And in doing so, she proved the one thing the Greens always claimed about her, that she was never fit to rule. The real tragedy? She was. Right up until she wasn't. And that is the loop that makes this, what if impossible, to shake. Rhaenyra's descent isn't sudden. It's earned. It's logical. It's heartbreaking. And George R.R. Martin himself hinted at this when he said, all Targaryens flip a coin at birth. So here's my question for you. Was Rhaenyra always the Mad Queen waiting to happen? Or did the world make her this way? Drop your answer below. I read every comment. And if you want more of these dark what-if timelines from Westeros, subscribe to the Unwritten Chronicles, because we are just getting started.